Good evening. Good evening. Today is August 24th, 2026 at about 6:49 p.m. This is a meeting of the Streets and Sidewalks Committee. To my left is Councilman Jeffrey Schilling, and to my right is Councilwoman Christy Marshall. And nobody's mentioned cell phones, so I will mention that. Please silence them if you have any that are turned on. We are here to talk about OPWC Round 41 grant application for a road project here in town. And Mr. Titterington, are you going to lead that?
Yeah. So this is our annual Ohio Public Works Commission grant application. As you're aware, we have typically anywhere from a 3 to 5 year capital plan, and we're always adjusting that based on how we phase other projects and other opportunities that come up. This year for design in 2027, the recommendation from staff is that we apply for funding for straightening out the McCaig Avenue, Ridge Avenue, I guess I'll call it unique alignment into a standard intersection. Why now and why not earlier? It has been on the thoroughfare plan, believe it or not, since 1931. Actually, in the side of the room, you'll see a big parchment map, actually a canvas map that was created in 1931, and I meant to look at it. It was not called Ridge Avenue. It was called something else before they changed the name, but you will see that they do include a realignment. It has been identified in the thoroughfare plan within the comprehensive plan since as far back as I believe 1961. It has not been cost effective, not that this is an insubstantial cost, don't misinterpret that please, but with the school there, the school operating, and without being able to do anything else with that property on either side, it has not made sense up to this point. The question's been raised that, do we still need to do this with the school moving or being demolished? Yes, and in a moment I'll ask the police chief to come up and discuss how that configuration that we have now is maybe confusing or a little bit more complex than it needs to be. But I will say that traffic is year-round. It is consistent throughout the day. There are variables that happen from time to time, such as, that is a detour route when West Main Street is cut off for some reason. The timing of this coming forward to you was meant and is meant to coincide with all of the discussions and the affirmation between the park board, the school board, and the city council that number one, Haywood, as well as Kyle and Van Cleve, because that was part of the broader discussion, they are going to be demolished. There is a contract in place. None of the parties, at least from the park board, declared publicly are desirable of changing that agreement, so that building is coming down. When we had the discussion about that, and we've had that at either committee or council or both, it was made very clear to us that with the park master plan, the council, the park board, there's been a strong statement that trying to retain, preserve ball fields, other amenities if possible, is a key priority. During the debate and the discussion about retaining the building, we strongly recommended that there be and the park board and the council both affirmed that, as part of the redevelopment potential, that in 2027, and this is our intent, is to ask for some budget funding to examine best uses of each one of those properties with the park board, with the council, with the staff, as well as with the immediate neighborhoods. I passed around, and I can make some more available. We'll put these on the website as well. A couple of renderings that the engineering firm of Choice One did for us. I want to emphasize at the top, and part of the title, it says, "For illustration purposes only." It's just to show a couple of different schematics. We just wanted to know what might fit out there. What might a realignment look like? Yes, I know there's a roundabout, and it's a rather odd-looking roundabout. Just ignore that. They just did that. I'm not sure that design would work out there anyway. But you'll see that, one of the renderings...
Depends on how many trees you plant in there.
I'm sorry?
Depends on how many trees you plant in there.
Sure. So we have on one schematic, one option 2, or I'll start with option 1. We have 4 ball fields, 2 on each side. We have a multi-purpose field as well, and we have parking on either side of the road. And you do see this is an engineered road straightening, so that is to scale, and that would be largely what it would look like. Option 2 has the standard intersection redesign. You also see, here you see 3 ball fields, 1 on the Haywood School site, 2 on the other side, plus you see a rather large multi-purpose field as well as a playground. Likely there would be some kind of hybrid. And again, this would depend on the neighborhood as well as input from the neighborhood, as well as the Park and Recreation Board. I didn't mention the Recreation Board, as well as the council. My point there is this, that to maximize the use of those properties and to make it multi-purpose, and to capitalize on the space that's there for the neighborhood, to provide some additional fields, practice fields, smaller fields, what have you. Realigning that road should not only be a key part of it, and again, then maybe the chief can talk a little bit more about it, but that needs to be ahead of or timed properly before redevelopment of some kind of a park space, park and recreation space were to occur. That being said, if the council's not ready to commit to a project like this and would rather wait until we start to get some feedback next year from the neighborhood, from the focus groups, et cetera, instead of recommending this project, the committee could recommend that we apply for Phase 3 of West Market Street, since we're in the process of doing the first 2 phases over the next year or so. So we would design Phase 3 next year with construction the following year. That would push this project back a year. Council could reconsider it, hopefully with some better drawings and some better input, I would imagine, and then pursue this project in concert with any kind of parkland development that you want to do out at Haywood. We would just need some direction. Either one of those options does need to be by emergency. If you recall, about every year we have to do it that way because we can't get the engineered drawings or not drawings, but engineered costs to a level that we can submit to the committee, and so it's a fairly rapid process. I think that's all I have.
Gotcha. Chief, did you have anything to add to this?
Thank you. I was asked by Mr. Titterington to look into some of the issues that we've seen there. What I was able to do is run the amount of crashes that we've had at the two intersections, the two three-way stop intersections. There was a total of 9 crashes within 100 feet of those intersections. That's kind of our standard look back in case somebody had pulled over and then reported a crash within the intersection. Only 7 of those crashes were directly related to movement within the intersection, I think, and so they were all minor accidents, but I think that the 7 crashes is the important number to be here. One was a car pulling out from a parking spot, and the other one that I didn't consider involved was a car deer accident at that intersection, which I thought was rather strange to see. I went back to January 1st, 2023, and I did that basically because usually engineering asks us to go back 3 years, so we went back approximately 3.5 years. And then my next question that I had was, during the same time period, how did other four-way intersections, specifically around schools, how many accidents did they have or crashes did they have in those areas? Crawford and East Main Street, close to Van Cleve, right down the street from the police department, had 1 accident. Surrey and Trade Square, and then Counts and East Main Street on the other side of Van Cleve had no accidents in that same time period. Surrey and Trade Square West up by Hook Elementary had no accidents, and then Mystic and Skylark had 1 accident. And then I looked at another four-way stop, not necessarily close to any schools, but one that we frequently get complaints about, North Dorset and Surrey. There were no accidents, and that does see some Hook Elementary School traffic in the afternoon. I would suggest anybody that's looking at this maybe go out there in the evening dismissal. That's where my personal experience is the most, and see how that traffic flows. Those 2 stop signs in close proximity of each other create congestion. If you look at especially westbound traffic on McKeag, and then when you have people northbound on Ridge wanting to make that left, you see a lot of people that don't wait for the intersection to clear to make it into that short section between the 2 intersections, creating that congestion within the intersection. And all you have to do is look right out here at this corner. A lot of people don't understand, despite our best efforts, that to enter the intersection you have to have enough room on the other side. I think part of that comes from the fact that people are afraid that the other person is going to cut them off, so somebody's going to go out of turn instead of taking their appropriate turns. If you've ever been out there during school, which, this is supposedly this is going to be the last year for school in that area, when you see the crossing guards, which they're very well trained, and I would give their crossing guards an A+ on how they act out there. They stick that flag out there. They make sure they make eye contact with those drivers before they step out. But when you're out there and you see them do that, and there's just all that congestion, and these little people are walking out there, and there's cars in the intersection, I'm glad nothing's happened up until this point. But like I said, we've had these 7 minor crashes. There'll still be some congestion out there, I think, when the school closes. I think that it is an additional, it's maybe a secondary route when there are detours, which we saw during the Main Street construction. That area became very congested when Main Street was under construction and they had to close down sections of Main Street, and it delayed people's travel time significantly, and our travel time and the fire department's travel time throughout the area since when Main Street was closed. But do you have any other questions?
No, well, in my experience, because I use Ridge a lot, it is a main thoroughfare for me because I'm a surface street driver instead of using the freeway, much as city cops do. And anytime that you can reduce congestion and signage or eliminate intersections, it helps smooth out the travels of everybody and the conflict points that come into play. So I agree with your experience and my experience are basically the same. So I agree with that. Do either one of you have questions of the chief?
I
Mrs.
do.
Marshall?
So the timing of those crashes, like the deer, was that during school drop-off or pickup?
I don't think the deer one was, but.
So the other
I
ones, were
believe-
they?
I believe that, and without looking at them all specifically, they were from about 9 a.m.
So after.
To about 7 p.m., I believe, just recalling the times as I was skimming through those.
So after
After
drop-off?
drop-off, but.
Possibly
And
pickup?
The congestion seems to be worse during drop-off because of more people park and wait, and that creates a lot of street parking on the sides of the road, and that, whereas at drop-off, you don't wait, you drop the child off and then you move on. So the congestion seems to be worse in the evening, or afternoons.
Oh, I know, they come at 2 o'clock and sit there for an hour and 20 minutes, I'm aware.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair?
And, you know, we're talking about, you know, with school there, school's gone, so that traffic, you know, is going to go away. However, if we're going to redevelop that into something along these lines, we're going to have a different kind of congestion, we're going to have a different type of,
But we don't know what's going
Utilization.
there right now.
well.
I mean, I'm not aware of anything in any way.
No, and that's why it would be coordinated with this process to, you know,
But if we think that intersection is confusing, we're not looking at that one for sure, right?
what's
Absolutely.
that one?
Because that one
The roundabout.
is,
Oh, that's.
A thousand
I just
times
said-
worse.
Yeah, that's why I said, pay no
I
attention.
would
to the
never
round-
go that way,
Pay no
ever.
attention to the roundabout, so. We didn't ask them to draw that on there, they just wanted to show what it might look like. We said, thank you, no thank you.
Anything else?
I have some comments, but we can ask questions
Sure.
first.
Mr. Schilling?
I would, oddly enough, agree with Mr. Titterington. The school's going to go away, and much of what our police chief has been talking about has been school. One of the accidents was somebody pulling out of a parking spot. We all know that, well, maybe you don't, that during school pickup and drop-off, they park along McCaig, and then they sort of wait until the car in front of them leaves, and then they leave, and so on and so forth. Sometimes evidently somebody got a little bit impatient and tried to pull out and got hit pulling out, but that's where the parking accident occurred, was probably on McCaig. And as Mr. Tittering said, that's all going to go away. So any consideration that we have about traffic accidents, there was nothing said about transport. There were no accidents required transport. I know that was a big issue when we talked about the roundabout out on West Main and Experiment Farm, about the number of accidents we had that transported people, and there was no mention of any transport. So essentially what we're talking about here are little fender benders. Would that be correct? on
Correct.
that? Okay. As far as, you know, the congestion, you know, we close Main Street, and naturally, people are going to find alternative routes. And yeah, McCaig is an alternative route to get out of town. I mean, a lot of people that live in Pleasant Hill, and they use that McCaig to come into town to work. And but again, those people are familiar. I think you only have to go through that intersection once to become familiar with it. I don't know where the confusion comes from. But, you know, I've lived in Troy 58 years. I've never had a problem with that intersection. Never. And it's not, I don't know other people that have ever said, come up to me and said, hey, it's confusing. So anyway, I'll reserve the rest of my comments for later, but I just want to make sure that there were no transport accidents or anything of that sort. All these accidents were little bumps types of things, right?
There was no injuries reported except, and I don't know what the condition of the deer was.
Yeah. Dinner. We call that dinner. Okay, thank you so much.
Is that all the questions you have at the moment?
I reserve some comments.
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead, no, go ahead.
you mentioned in the emails that there were existing, like, if we went ahead with this, like, sanitary lift upgrades and things like that, were those things that were needing to be fixed, whether we did that, whether we decided yes or no on the road or not, or were we just going to go ahead and do that if we change the road? I don't know, you put it in there.
The lift station,
We
what we're
would
talking
have
about.
Yeah.
to, we would
Yeah.
have to
It's
do
a
some
lift
adjustments to that.
upgrade, sanitary needs.
If, yes, in the memo, we would have to do that with the change in the curvature of the road.
Okay. But not if we,
No, I don't believe that, no, other than maybe some routine maintenance.
okay.
If I can, so we would have to plan.
Could you identify, please, Christie?
Sorry, Christy Butera, Assistant City Engineer. We would have to plan for some upgrades to that lift station regardless of whether this project happens or not. So
Where
this-
is that at?
You see it at the north end of that park property. You honestly, you probably don't see it. Maybe you see an electric panel. If you drove past there, you would see an
Okay.
electric panel. It's all below grade, most of it. But some of its equipment is at the end of its life.
Okay.
And so
So
that
it
would
does
be.
need to be replaced,
That's
Correct.
no matter what.
It's part of the
We're,
sewer.
we're going to replace that no
Okay.
matter what. In other words, is what you're telling us. This lift station, we're going to upgrade that no matter what.
Maybe not next year if you don't do this project. But yes, improvements will be needed there regardless
Within the
of
next
this.
5 years, it'll be in our budget then.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. And maybe I'm jumping forward a little bit too far, but you said if we don't approve this or move this forward, you said something about Phase 3 of West Market. What would that entail?
It's State Route 55.
Okay.
From
The,
Horizon Court out towards, coming towards,
the state
I believe
maintenance
over
building.
the interchange.
continuation of that project.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question on that as well.
Sure.
The Phase 3 project, I know we, at some point in time in the last 6 months or so, we had authorized the city to apply for a grant for a recreational trail from the subdivisions out there and in towards the center of the city. How far is that? Have we heard anything on that? And where is the terminus on that? I think I know where it starts, but where does that terminate? Our plans right now, would that terminate at Dorset, or would that terminate, where does that thing terminate from?
We expect to hear back about the grant award in early November sometime. The grant requested a recreational trail in front of Kensington, right? So as far west as Kensington, where the sidewalk is there now. We would remove the sidewalk, put in the rec trail, and then the widening, so further east, essentially to the ODOT garage. The rec trail, that's essentially the bounds of our Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the West Market Street project. So the rec trail would terminate there until the project got continued, until a future phase.
And then if we did Phase 3, then would that recreation trail be extended at that particular point in time?
The recreational trail would be extended. Part of the difficulty that comes in consideration when we design
We don't
phase,
own all the land.
pardon?
I said we don't own all the land. It would-
No, it's just that there's a culvert crossing, and so it would mean an expense of an independent, I'll say, bike bridge over the creek that is there, that we would include in that design.
Coming back eastbound.
Would be all
It would be on the
side.
north side of the road,
Right.
traveling east
East.
towards the interstate,
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That's all the questions I think
All
we
the
have right now.
questions.
Okay.
I've got lots of comments, but no
Okay,
questions.
we'll get to that. Any other council folks that have any, excuse me, questions at this time? Okay, anyone from the public have any, come on up.
Do you want any questions or just comments?
Questions,
Questions.
questions.
Well, you can do either one. If you have
Well,
some
no,
comments.
I have comments that I want to.
I do.
We will do that at the end for us when we,
Well, I just,
before we vote.
I'm Mike Beamish, 913 Devon Circle in Troy, Ohio. And I'd just allow me to to give a different perspective in this whole consideration. First of all, I want to thank Bill Rozelle and Lynn Schnee for acknowledging our email that we sent to each of you with some of our concerns over the consideration of realignment. I'm going to start by saying for over 50 years, we have worked, played, lived, and raised our family in that area. And so I feel like we have something to say about it. We've witnessed in the past the traffic during the heyday of Hobart Corporation / KitchenAid. And to my recollection, being a little older now, I had no major incidences reported or shared to me. We, Jenny and I, frequently travel the intersection by car and have noticed no problems. And I think we've already heard that. We frequently also walk that area and picking up, many of you know, we pick up trash in that area for our exercise and for just the community pride. But have never seen anything in our walk around that area. Occasionally, we will hear a horn blow, but it's only to usually roll down the window and say hello to us or thank you for what you're doing. And that makes us feel good. We've never witnessed in any accident of any serious nature at all, nor even a fender bender. In all those years, we walked and driven in that area frequently. Again, I'll just say we're both two longtime community active citizens that live in that area for over 50 plus years. Our concern continues to be safety, and I hear that, safety first, but slowing that traffic down is not a bad thing. Many enjoy the Haywood Park. We see that all the time. We see young and old at the Haywood Park playing ball, baseball, football, many walking pets, many just enjoying that green space and walking the area like we do. Haywood may not be long in the future as a building, but behind it sits the only neighborhood park in the playground area. And it's needed. It's needed for that area. A ball field shift doesn't seem very practical knowing that area as I do and having worked there at Haywood School. $1.6 million, in my estimation, could be better spent with economic development, recreational amenities, or even, as I've said many times, the living room of our community is our downtown, and we certainly could see some things happening there as well. I do know the system, been around it for a lot of years. Emergency legislation is not needed if the project is not needed. We have a great regional reputation. When we go out for grants, we're in pretty good stead to be accepted for those grants whenever we need to look for grants. So in closing, I just want you to say, as your longtime mayor of City of Troy, this intersection has been brought up before in my tenure, and it didn't get momentum because they used the money for other projects to benefit our community. I'll close by saying Troy is a great place to live, work, in play. But it's been said many times, let's not fix what's not broken. And we have a lot of bigger fish to fry that we can take our money and shift it to the areas that I suggest that we look at further before we even consider a realignment project like this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Come on up.
I'm Amy Allen, and I live at 227 South Ridge. And if you look on your map, I'm about 4 houses from both of the parks that you're talking about and the 5-way stop. So I know a great deal about exactly this. I am at the park 3 times a day with my dog. I watch the school kids, and I get confused at the 5-way stop even still. I did want to thank you for the 250 celebration, by the way. That was awesome and very well put on.
Thank you.
And I was making pot roast tonight, and I thought, gosh, I get to come down here, and you guys are already down here, but I wasn't prepared. But the people on Ridge did have a few things they were worried about. One is, if it becomes a 4-way stop, will it speed up anything? So if this were to happen, because I've found after talking to most of my neighbors on Ridge, and I'm not going to name them, I'm sure some of them may oppose this. I haven't heard from them. Most of my neighbors are pretty agnostic towards this, but we do understand that with the green space happening with Haywood, that it doesn't really make sense to have a road going in between 2 areas of land if it could be skewed one way, straightened out, and then have more of a rolling area over there. But with that being said, there's definitely some concerns about if you make it a 4-way stop, will people just start racing through the 4-way stop? The extra stop sign does tend to, out of confusion, just make people slow down. So if you were to move forward on this, I would just want, because we were talking about, well, when the school comes down, does that change the speed limit? No?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Just to kind of, like Mr. Beamish said, safety's kind of like, as important, but I do understand Mr. Titterton saying that, like, if the school's coming down and everything's shifting to repay the baseball fields or whatever's going on, did I understand that correctly? Like, somehow we have to, maybe does the city owe a park or another baseball field because of the school demolitions, or am I misinformed?
Mr. Titter, there will be something happening, some redevelopment.
Okay.
But there are no definitive plans of what that is.
I'm not trying to nail you down.
No. I'm just trying to explain that something is going to happen.
Yeah.
What that looks like, we don't know. The documents that we have in front of us are only pie in the sky. Someone drew them, and this is a starting point.
Just
we're here with this committee meeting to initially authorize the Safety Service Director to enter into an OPWC grant program to get money to start on design stuff, if that's where we want to go. If that's where we want to go at this time. And if not, we'll move on to another project and forestall this or something like that. So that's kind of where we are right now.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting me speak.
Sure.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Sure. Ms. Hickman, you want to come on up?
Thank you. Madison Hickman, 3rd Ward City Council. So the east side of this intersection is the very corner of my ward. So I posed to my neighborhood group kind of some thoughts of this project. I had 28 comments. All but one were not in favor of this project happening. One of them included somebody that is on our park board, and they believe that doing this project is putting the cart before the horse, so to speak. Many in my neighborhood would rather see money spent in our area on sewers, curbs, and alleyways, as we greatly need those redone, especially in the historic district and probably into some of the other areas around that. I also know, as part of the Parks Master Plan, it has been stated, which I know there's no decisions that have been made about this, but that it was stated that we have too many parks and not enough staff as is. So to create this big park, which I know is kind of just shuffling things around a little bit, I would want to make sure that that is taken care of and would be good for our Parks Department as well. But like I said, out of 28 comments, only one of them was in favor of this project. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Bradley Barringer, 105 Crestwood Drive. Good evening. I can't say much more because Mike stole a lot of my thunder. But I just want to pick up on something that Chief said. 9 crashes. That was in the last year, correct?
Since January 2023.
Okay, in 3 years, we've had 9 crashes at that intersection. That averages out to 3 per year. Hardly justifies realigning that intersection, to my way of thinking. Confusion? It's not confusing. You stop, you turn, you stop again, and you go. It's that simple. We don't need to do all this rigmarole just because we're going for a grant, after a grant for it. And Mr. Titterington said, well, it's in our Parks Master Plan to do something with that park. We want to save ball fields. And then he turns around and says, well, we're going to cut through a ball field to realign the street. Justify that. Justify those two statements together. They don't match. They don't jive. So my suggestion to you would be, don't go forward with this project, but spend the money on West Market Street where it's needed. Thank you.
Well, I didn't even come to talk about this, but...
Name and address, please.
Oh, sorry. Dana Schilling, 1 West Franklin Street, apartment 309, Troy, Ohio. But I use that intersection a lot. I don't know how anybody has a problem figuring out a stop sign here, a stop sign here, one here, one here, one here. If it says stop, you stop. And you wait for the people to take turns going. I think that's a horrible misuse of a grant program that could be used for doing parks. For instance, I had mentioned about the city park that hasn't had anything done to it forever. I mean, they could use that money, but I mean, I don't think that's a necessary traffic problem. If there's a traffic problem there, it's a driver that doesn't know how to drive. That's the whole, well, that's a problem. If you watch people in Troy, I've never seen, well, and I've driven out in Massachusetts, and people drive here worse than they do in Massachusetts. I mean, they have no idea how to go around the roundabout, you know, like you don't sit there and wait for all your neighbors to go around and then you go. They can't figure that out. And now you say they can't figure out a 5-way stop. That's incredible to me that anybody has a wreck because of that. And if there was an issue with the crossing guard situation, which I could see people speed too fast through, they just don't stop completely at stop signs. But traffic crossing people, when we were little, we were taught to catch the eye of the driver and make sure they stopped before we got out in the street. And that's a matter of training there. So I don't see how you justify spending this grant money on something like this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you catch our name?
Good evening, I'm Jenny Beamish. I also live at 913 Devon Circle, and I also would like to thank Mr. Rozelle and Mrs. Snee for at least acknowledging the letter that we sent to all of you. With regard to the proposed realignment of the Ridge-McCaig intersection, I'd like to offer 3 points for your consideration. Number one, why? We have lived near this intersection for more than 50 years. During that time, we have had occasion to travel through it at least 15,000 times with exactly 0 problems. We have seen 0 traffic mishaps there. We have heard 0 sirens there. It seems that having 6 stop signs, and there are actually 6, they're not 5, they're 6, there has had the positive effect of slowing traffic and encouraging safe passage through the intersection for both vehicles and pedestrians. Maybe not that deer, but everybody else. According to the memorandum from the Director of Public Service and Safety, this realignment is being considered because of, among other reasons, unnecessary delays and confusion in travel along both roads. Mike and I did a little unscientific research this afternoon, driving through that intersection several times, east to west, west to east, north to south, and south to north, recording the time it took to traverse the short jag of McCaig that seems to be the problem. Our results ranged from 10 seconds to 25 seconds, depending on the number of cars in front of us. I might add that during those 10 to 25 seconds, we were continuing to move forward. I will also add that while we were test driving, we observed a young man, not a city employee, working on the baseball field, smoothing and lining it, perhaps in preparation for his team's practice later this afternoon. What a shame to destroy this well-used recreation field as well as the 50-year-old trees in the park for the sake of saving 10 seconds of driving time. To spend $1.6 million to alleviate unnecessary delays and confusion in travel does not seem to be a prudent use of taxpayer money, even though $600,000 of that would be coming from Ohio Public Works Commission grant. That's still $1 million spent to save 10 seconds. That brings me to my second point. Now, mind you, I am just a lowly citizen. What about that OPVC grant? I could be wrong, but the information that I could find on the website indicates that the deadline for those grant applications is always between the end of August and the beginning of October. Why then has this discussion been put off until now, creating the need for emergency legislation? The timing of this might be cause for wondering if there are some other plans in the works for the Haywood building site, but that's another discussion for another day. My third point is not closely related to the intersection, but does concern city spending. According to Myrna Yoder, director of Troy's Fish Organization, for the month of July, she has had requests from 41 households here in Troy for rent assistance, because for those 41 households, their affordable housing isn't. So far in 2026, she has had calls from 284 households, which Fish assisted to the tune of $77,000. I know that I'm comparing apples and oranges here, but maybe it's time to look at other uses such as really affordable housing for that $1.6 million while we enjoy that extra 10 seconds of driving time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Deb Hogshead, 421 South Plum Street, and I'm saying wow to a lot of comments earlier, and pretty much I'm dittoing what they have said. I think fixing the intersection at McCaig and Ridge is unnecessary, and I'm against spending any money on changing it. I do not see it as a good use of taxpayer money. I've traveled through the intersection hundreds of times, not as much as the Beamishes, but I've never had any problem. And this may sound a little silly, but for me, there's sort of a rhythm to the stop and go at that intersection, an unhurried respite that's rather comforting. And it sort of says, we don't always have to speed through life. We can slow down and take a breath. So I'm against the change. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. What closing comments you might have? You indicated you...
Let him go.
Mr.
Yeah,
you go
I have
first, Mr.
comments
Schilling?
too.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
I have some comments.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut in front of you.
No, it's all right.
Mrs.
Doesn't matter.
Westphal, please. You have the floor.
My biggest concern is this needed? I feel like after all the projects that we talked about just today, plus we have the Lowhead Dam project and the bike path on the south side of the river, the downtown project. We talked about the golf course and the pool, the community park playground. I'd be concerned whether those, I know we're supposed to be getting some new play equipment, but I'd be concerned that we're going to need more money for that because everything seems to need more money. We've talked about the roundabout on 41 Experiment Farm, and then we don't even have the master plan for the park yet. I feel like we're jumping the gun, and this is all tax money. We have to be more responsible with what are our priorities, and is this really needed? I don't think it's worth spending over $1 million to get a $600,000 grant, personally, for something we don't need. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes, Mrs. Snee.
I completely understand the committee's discussion about whether this is needed now or later, but one thing I do want to point out, and it's in the committee report, is we keep talking about this just being done as if it's in isolation only to straighten out the roads. But there was a point made that by realigning this road, you provide greater flexibility in redesign and reuse of this property. So if we are going to redesign and reuse this property, and maybe this isn't the time, maybe it is coming at a future time, in order to know the best reuse, to have ball fields available, to have park facilities available, things that people have said they wanted, then it might be worthwhile considering what redesign and reuse is possible if you realign this road that is not possible if you don't. I just want to point that out.
Well said. Thank you. Mr. Schilling.
Okay, thank you. First, I'd like to remind everybody that this intersection is a conjunction of two 25-mile-per-hour streets. We also know that, as we've already been mentioned, that the school is going to go away, and that is going to take a significant amount of traffic off McCaig and off Ridge at 8 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. As we've already, as Ms. Snee very wisely pointed out, that there was no indication of any plans for the lot at this particular point in time. And again, we can go back to the mayor's comment to City Council, and she said, you don't know what is happening, and we don't. You know, there's right now, looking at the drawings that was presented to us, the realignment of the baseball fields and construction of the fields on the Haywood site can be done now without moving the road. Mm-hmm. So again, this is something that we have to look at. Again, we're talking about $1.6 million of taxpayer money, and I know I'm beating a dead horse, but the grant money is still our tax dollars. It's just coming from a different source, right? The information we got that it causes unnecessary delays and confusion, and again, I've been in Troy 58 years and been through that since I live out in that. I go through, I drive down McCaig virtually every day, at least once, and back through that intersection, and you know, I don't think I've ever been confused by it. I don't know. As far as unnecessary delays, I did my own. I really appreciate the Beamishes for doing that trial and error thing this afternoon. My own. I was coming down McCaig and said, okay, well, how long does it take? So I'm driving 25 miles an hour, and I pass those non-flashing signs that will probably be taken down, and to the delight of the Yoda administration. And hit your brakes, and it takes about 6 seconds to go from 25 miles an hour to 0. A couple of looks one way or the other, another couple of seconds. So we're talking 8 seconds. I can remember a year or so ago that City Council decided that speeding up the traffic through the square, downtown square, by 20 seconds was not worth $1 million. So the question then again, is it worth $1,600,000 of taxpayer money to speed up traffic by, in my case, 8 seconds? And I know there is some other backup, but as somebody said, we're always moving because stop sign, people go, so on and so forth. We've already talked about upgrading the sanitary lift. That's going to happen no matter what, and that money comes not from streets and sidewalk, but that comes from another area of our budget. We know where the station location is. Let's see here, what else are we talking about? In my estimation, I think it would be better, and of course, again, because we don't know what's going to happen at that lot, we're looking at one of the possibilities of developing parkland. There's no indication though that somebody's going to come by and say, hey, I want that to develop and put some luxury condos or something in there, and I'm going to pay you a bunch of money for the land, and okay, so it's yours. So again, there's no indication right now. We have no idea what's going to happen to that land. And so in my estimation, I think, I have some other ideas for Ridge Avenue. We'll wait for another time for that, but the Phase 3, I think, would be a viable project to continue that project and get that done. You know, we've got Phase 1 and Phase 2 completed. We're going to let's go on and get Phase 3 and get the rest of that done out there on West Market Street. I think that would be the best use. And then once we get plans, solid plans for that area, then we can start talking about, hopefully not very seriously, but talking about redoing that intersection. It just makes no sense to do it right now. Thank you so much.
Mrs. Marshall.
I wanted to thank everybody for coming out. This was really nice to see this many people at a committee meeting for a change. I did read the emails that were sent, and I did speak to a few people who live over in that area and a few who don't, and everybody that I spoke with and the emails that I saw were not in support of this for a few reasons. They were tired of construction. They were, the spending. Those were the things that I heard the most. I did do a little research from a nameless sergeant about the accidents, and he said there were very few over there, that he didn't see that it was that terrible. Is it confusing? I mean, I can see where it would be confusing, but I don't think it's any more confusing than any other, if a four-way stop, if multiple people get there at the same time, either there's always that, who's going to go first, because people just don't follow the laws. But, a delay, it's a few seconds. I don't think that's going to make that big of a difference. So I would agree with the Phase 3 with that instead, just based on all of that and all of the citizens saying no.
Gotcha. Okay. So the committee has a consensus that we will bypass this grant round on this particular project, and that we're suggesting that we do pursue the State Route 55 Phase 3 project.
We will put that on the agenda.
Gotcha. Thank you. Any other items to come before the Streets and Sidewalks Committee?
No, sir.
We are adjourned, and thank you all for attending.